Just when I walked like a god was put on the table, he was taken right off for Andy Ruiz Jr. Before we get into that, you know what to do. Hit the thumbs up, hit the sub, hit the bell, and welcome to the channel. With that being said, let's get into the video. So we got Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. Is this a good fight? Does it make sense? I will say yes. I believe that this fight, despite my $50 bet, makes more sense than Charles Martin versus Deontay Wilder. And the reason why I say that is Andy Ruiz Jr. actually beat Anthony Joshua. He lost in the rematch, but he beat him the first time. Not only did he beat him, but he beat him by TKO referee stoppage. So here's some factors going into this fight. Andy Ruiz won the first time he fought AJ. So if Deontay Wilder goes out there and beats him in the first one, there's an argument to be made that, see, Deontay Wilder's better because he beat Andy Ruiz Jr. Secondly, this is a good test of Deontay Wilder's real punching power. The reason why I say that is nobody in the history of Andy Ruiz's fighting career, whether it be amateur or professional, had ever floored him. Anthony Joshua was the first one to ever knock him down on his butt. With that being said, if Deontay Wilder can go in there and knock this guy out or knock him down multiple times, even if he knocks him down once, that's fine. But if he can get multiple knockdowns or a knockout, then the argument can be made that Deontay Wilder is a much harder puncher. So you have that as a measuring stick too, because Andy Ruiz's chin is really going to tell you who the harder puncher is. Now, people argue that Deontay Wilder is technically bad. I have made this statement before. However, Andy Ruiz Jr. is a very technical fighter. He's a very good fighter with very quick hands. If Deontay Wilder can find a way to keep this short guy off of him, then he can prove he's not that technically bad. Not as bad as it's been made out to be. So therefore, it will be a boost there. So not only are you going to have the chin being tested by Deontay Wilder's power to gauge that power against Anthony Joshua's power, but you've got a guy who arguably has only lost one fight. Arguably, because most of the people that talk about it, that know about it, say that Andy Ruiz should have beat Joseph Parker. He should have beat him. It's just hands down, he should have won that fight. So AJ's really the only guy to ever beat him, truthfully, not on the records of the history book, but actually beat him. Anthony Joshua was the only one to ever do it, and it took him 2 tries to beat him once. So if Deontay Wilder can beat him in that first try, that's a tick mark, that's a notch that he's got above Anthony Joshua. Whereas if he goes out there and he knocks out Charles Martin, it really doesn't prove anything because Anthony Joshua won by referee stoppage against Charles Martin. Regardless how I felt, if it was an early stoppage or not, he still won by knockout. So you're pretty much just getting the same result if he wins that way as AJ. However, like I've said a couple of times now, if he can knock out Andy Ruiz or beat him in the first one, he doesn't even have to knock him out. If he just beats him in the first match, then that's already a one-up on Anthony Joshua because he beat the guy that beat him the first time they fought. So you have that. Now, the flip side to this is it's very dangerous for Deontay Wilder because if he loses, really if he loses to anybody, I don't know where he goes in his career. I would say that, thinking about it as I'm saying it, if he was to lose, this is the best guy to lose to if it's not Anthony Joshua, because the argument can be made that Andy Ruiz Jr. beat AJ, so it's not as bad as a loss as if he goes in there and gets beat by Charles Martin. That's a much worse loss. If he goes in there and fights anybody, whether it be an old Naki, Herkovich, who's coming up, somebody like that, then that's a much more devastating loss than, I guess, losing to Andy Ruiz Jr. So it kind of keeps his career intact if he loses to Andy Ruiz, because, again, you can make the argument, well, Andy Ruiz beat AJ. So he beat Deontay Wilder. He's just a really good fighter. He's just been, overlooked, overshadowed by the other names. So he's up there with the top tier guys. So to lose to him's not as big of a deal. Whereas if he loses to, like I said, the other guys, then you have to really question how good he really is. So, yeah, I think damage control is in the favor of this fight too. Like, you don't have a lot to lose losing to Andy Ruiz only because he had beat AJ. So Again, if he's going to fight somebody, I think this is a good fight to have. But again, it's very dangerous because as long as Andy Ruiz doesn't come in there 356 pounds, he's very good at cutting off the ring. He's not the fastest, but he's got good enough feet to where he can get close to you. And then them hands kick in and they come like lightning. He's got extremely fast hands. Not a lot of power. Despite what he did to AJ, he doesn't have a lot of power. See, I've said this before about AJ. His biggest flaw is, and this is the only thing that scares me if he was to fight Deontay Wilder, is when people start throwing barrages at him, he shells up really bad and doesn't really make a defensive attack back. He just sits there and absorbs it and tries to block what he can, and then he gets out. So that's why he got in trouble against a guy like Andy Ruiz, because Andy Ruiz doesn't get tired or didn't get tired. Well, he didn't even get tired when he came in there 552 pounds. You know what I mean? He didn't get tired at all. Even though he weighed in at 602 pounds, he was in there sweating the cheeseburger and bacon grease, had a little bit of checkers, if you know what that is, a little bit of spicy fries coming out of them pores. But, he got in there and he wasn't tired at all. So considering that the man weighed 782 pounds, it's pretty good to go 12 rounds and not get tired at 842 pounds. So again, I think that, if he comes in lighter where he can move and he's not 952 pounds, he'll be all right. But if he comes in there 1,002 pounds, he's going to have some issues. But I think Andy Ruiz will probably drop back down to around 250, 260 for his next fight. And it'll probably be around 250, 260 for Deontay Wilder. I don't really think he needs to do what he said he was going to do and look like Anthony Joshua, because my thing is this: what's working for you is working for you. Don't fix it if it ain't broke. If you can move like you're moving and have your hands as fast as they are, with being fluffy like the comedian, then do that. Don't get muscle bound. Don't lose too much weight to where you're going to lose that edge. You're a big dude that's got extremely fast hands for your size that's not really seen. So stick with it. Don't drop too small. But my point is this, to get back full circle and not talk about the Jenny Craig weight loss that he's trying to do. The point is, Andy Ruiz has extremely fast hands. We know Deontay Wilder defensively isn't the best, especially if you can back him up. And if Andy Ruiz can get on top of him, he's going to be barraging him. And then we really get to see how Deontay Wilder can react against a guy who's not going to be like Tyson Fury hitting him with onesies and twosies, but is going to be hitting him with 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 combos in repetition and keep coming forward at you. So again, I think that's where this fight gets really dangerous. I think with Andy Ruiz, who I don't believe is as tall as, I think they say he's 6'1". I don't think he's any taller than 5'11", to be honest with you. I really don't think he's any taller than 5'11", because he doesn't even look. I can't even give him 6 foot. I've seen him stand next to other people. I've seen him beside people. I've never met him in person to look at him eye to eye. But judging off of everything that I've seen, he looks way shorter than 6'1". I'm thinking he's around 5'11" of real height. And from everything I've seen, Deontay Wilder looks every bit of 6'7". I don't think there's any inflation in his height. He looks 6'7", hands down. So, Andy Ruiz has got to get to Deontay Wilder. And what we did learn about Ruiz and AJ, their second fight, when somebody is quick on their feet, he might have some issues getting into range to hit them. And Deontay Wilder is definitely fast. That's one thing that you have to give him. His speed is quick. And I'm not talking about his fight speed. I'm talking about his feet speed. He is very quick with his feet. Like, the dude can move. That's one thing he can do. He can close in on space very quickly, and he can move very quickly. I mean, his hands are pretty quick too, but that's mostly through his body speed when he's coming at you full speed. So again, it's going to be a chess match, but I would really be interested in this fight, more interested in this fight, even though I like my boy Charles Martin like a god. I like Prince Charles Martin, but I would be much more interested in this fight just because it's really going to let us know how hard Deontay Wilder actually can crack, because he's going to hit Ruiz coming in. Now, with that being said, Ruiz does have a very good guard. He can block very good and parry pretty decently. So, again, I think he's going to crack Ruiz coming in. And the question is, can he hurt him? And if he can hurt him, does he put him down? If he does put him down, can Ruiz even get up? If Ruiz can't get up, then, hey, we know he is the harder hitter than Anthony Joshua. Because Anthony Joshua had 2 tries at Ruiz to knock him out and couldn't do it in either fight. So, like I said, all the way around that I see this is the type of fight that is the rebound that you need as Deontay Wilder. Because if you come out of this fight with flying colors, then you're right back up in the top 3. Hands down, you're in the top 3. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section. I think this fight makes the most sense. And again, as long as Ruiz doesn't come in weighing 1,132 pounds, he'll be all right. All right, guys, hit up that comment section. And thank y'all again for watching.